Shouts, exclamations, and yells filled the coastline. Countless Unation citizens looked at the sky and shouted excitedly. "He's here, he's here. Our martial sage is here." Speaking of which, what does the martial sage look like? Anyone got a clear look? I can't see anything at all. I'm using a high multiplier telescope. I can only see a ball of light. Above the first grade is the transcendent grade, and martial sage that guards the dynasty. Unfortunately, I'm not fated to see his true appearance. Hee, we don't even know what abilities a martial sage has. Perhaps he once met you on the streets, but you were unaware. The sound of discussions and cheers resounded across the beach. On an open-air platform of a battleship in the sea south of the giant shark island. "Master, Master, the martial sage of the U-Nation is here." A young girl with an outstanding figure and delicate features looked at the sky and shouted excitedly, "I can't see what he looks like." "Master, did you see him?" "No." Beside the girl was a graceful and beautiful woman. Her eyes were shining as she stared at the sky and frowned. "He's wearing a special battle armor. His entire body is covered." "Ah, doesn't that mean that we won't know what he looks like?" The girl commented regretfully. "What a martial sage looks like isn't important." The beautiful woman patted the girl's head dotingly and explained, "A martial sage looks at strength. As for the specifics, you don't have to know for now. I'll tell you when it's time for you to know. I'm just curious." The girl stuck out her tongue. "Then, Master, how long do you think the U-Nation's martial sage can last against New Chu's martial sage?" "I don't know." The beautiful woman shook her head. "Although the U-Nation's martial sage has just advanced, no one can be sure if he is strong or weak, especially when no one knows if the old martial sage left any treasures for him." "That's right. Master, you said that the U-Nation's old martial sage has lived for hundreds of years. He must have accumulated a lot of treasures." The girl came to a realization. The U-Nation's new martial sage is no match for New Chu's martial sage, but with powerful treasures, he might not necessarily lose. "That's right. If those people want to see the U-Nation's martial sage suffer a crushing defeat, it won't be that simple," concluded the beautiful woman indifferently. "You're here." On a small island to the east of the giant shark island, an old man with long flowing hair gazed at the sky and shouted at an old man sitting cross-legged behind him, "Grandpa, the U-Nation's new martial sage is here." The old man narrowed his eyes and replied softly, "Continue watching the show." "Yes, Grandpa." The long-haired old man opened his mouth and nodded. North of Giant Shark Island, at the peak of the clouds, a group of top-ranked experts carrying long swords on their backs floated in the air and looked at the horizon, their eyes flickering with fighting spirit. "Everyone," Master said, that this martial sage battle is a once-in-a-century opportunity to comprehend. Whether you can take this opportunity to break through depends on whether you can seize it. A middle-aged man in a long robe said in a deep voice, "If you want to obtain Master's guidance, it's useless unless you reach a certain level. Now that the opportunity is right in front of you, I hope you won't waste it. Don't worry, we know what to do. This is a battle between martial sages, should we retreat further out? Let's wait and see." The others chimed in and changed the topic. The corners of the middle-aged man's lips twitched, but he remained silent. He had already said what he needed to say. Whether they listened or not was none of his business. Giant Shark Island. Above a row of tall and steep mountains in the center. Su Jingxing's essence soul descended from the sky in the Thunder Dragon armor. At first glance, he spotted a person sitting on the peak of the highest mountain. There was a platform on the peak that had been slashed out by a human. On the platform was a stone table with 4 dishes. A tall and burly man with an indistinct aura was sitting on a stone bench. He held wine in one hand and chopsticks in the other as he ate and drank leisurely. Su Jingxing slowly approached. When he was 10 meters away from the platform. "You're here. Without looking up, the burly man called out, "Sit down, sit down. I've been waiting for you for a day. You're finally here. Fortunately, I prepared cold dishes. There are lots left. Quickly sit down and have a drink." Su Jingxing didn't move. He floated in the air and stopped moving forward. This fellow had really organized a banquet to treat him to a meal. Su Jingxing could sense that the burly man was not an essence soul, but a physical body. The body of a martial sage after the divine embryo hatched an essence soul. A body of this level had a lifespan of 360 years. As for his defense, speed, strength, and other aspects, Su Jingxing wasn't sure. However, it was not inferior to ordinary transcendent bodies, especially its true essence. The true essence of a martial sage's body had at least 200 years of cultivation. In other words, even without an essence soul, a martial sage was still extremely powerful. "Have a seat." Su Jingxing didn't move, so the burly man continued, "Don't worry, there's no poison in the dishes or wine. Since I've invited you, I won't touch these crooked ways. These crooked ways won't work on you either. Don't you agree, brother?" Su Jingxing remained silent. The might of a martial sage's body could not be underestimated. Su Jingxing was prepared to attack at any time. "All right." Seeing that Su Jingxing didn't respond, the burly man shook his head and slowly put down his chopsticks. "Since you don't want to eat, I'll have them taken away. By the way, my name is Xiang Qing Tian. What's your name, younger brother?" Su Jingxing remained silent. Deep down, he was slightly surprised. Xiang Qing Tian. The old thing's name sure is domineering. The Xiang family produced 2 martial sages in a row. No wonder they're so domineering and wanted to annex the Yu nation. Never mind. It's fine if you don't want to tell me your name. Xiang Qing Tian continued to mutter to himself, "I invited you here firstly to congratulate you on advancing to the transcendent grade and becoming a martial sage. Secondly, I want to discuss a collaboration with you." Su Jingxing remained silent. "This matter is the merger of our 2 countries." Xiang Qing Tian looked at Su Jingxing with a smile. "After the 2 countries merge, we will be the strongest nation in the eastern continent in the future. The overlapping areas of the void world will also be connected, increasing the territory and obtaining more area. At that time, it will be easy for us to join forces to annex other countries. Brother, what do you think?" "Nothing." Su Jingxing spoke. His deliberately adjusted low voice came from beneath his mask and echoed in the air. "Ha, you're really a younger brother." Xiang Qing Tian clapped his hands and smiled. "I think it's a good suggestion. Brother, are you really not going to consider it?" "Old thing, I didn't expect you to fall for it instantly." He had used a man's voice. As expected, the more he said, the more he would be exposed. In terms of life experience, even with 2 lifetimes combined, Su Jingxing had less than 30 years. Unlike Xiang Qing Tian, who could become a martial sage not only because he was outstandingly talented, but also because he had to compete with his peers for resources. He climbed up step by step and finally became a martial sage. Su Jingxing took a shortcut. He could not be compared to him. At this thought, he decided to be ruthless. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave, Martial Sage Xiang. I, Su Jingxing, am also qualified to call myself a martial sage, cough cough." "In this case, you're really not considering it." Xiang Qing Tian shook his head. "Alright, since you're unwilling, I won't force you. But it's rare for you to make a trip here, so how can you leave just like that? By the way, you've just advanced to become martial sage. You must not be very familiar with the realm of martial sages. As a senior, I ought to give you some guidance, no? Here it comes." I knew I couldn't avoid making a move. Su Jingxing thought to himself. He maintained his calm tone and said coolly, "Then I'll have to trouble you, Martial Sage Xiang. This fight was unavoidable. Su Jingxing was already long prepared. Although Xiang Qingtian made it sound nice and used the word guidance, that was because he did not want a falling out. If Su Jingxing refused, the old thing would still get physical all the same. Good. Xiang Qingtian stood up and smiled. During the process, if you can't take it, remember to call for a stop in advance. Su Jingxing remained silent. Boom. Xiang Qingtian did not waste his breath and struck out with his palm. In a flash, the palm shadows that filled the sky transformed into dozens of huge birds that blotted out the sky. Countless people around the giant shark island felt their pupils constrict when they saw this. The Xiang family's heaven-battling eagle palm has actually been cultivated to this level. As expected of Xiang Qingtian. On the battleship, the beautiful woman murmured, her eyes flickering. "Grandfather, they're making a move. They're making a move." The long-haired old man shouted in surprise. "I saw." At some point, the old man who was sitting cross-legged had floated up and looked at the sky above the giant shark island. "It's starting." On the top of the clouds, a group of martial artists in the top ranks with swords on their backs had solemn expressions and piercing gazes. Hoo hoo hoo. Above the giant shark island, terrifying astral winds suddenly rose and howled between heaven and earth. Su Jingxing retreated rapidly. In his vision, there were only dozens of huge birds pouncing at him. Buzz. Without any hesitation, he also struck out with his palm. The Tiangang demon suppression hand. Bang! The air exploded as the giant palm tore through the air and flashed towards the dozens of giant birds. Its speed was extremely fast. In just an instant, it covered a distance of a few hundred meters and drowned the group of giant birds that were still in attacking mode. Whoosh! A blinding light bloomed. Everyone around the giant shark island stopped what they were doing and looked at the sky in a daze. Gone. Dozens of giant birds disappeared just like that. One palm strike. He finished off dozens of giant birds with just one palm strike. No. This was not one against many, but one against one. It was also a move from a martial sage, only Xiang Qingtian's martial art was a little special. Everyone was in thought. A majestic and powerful aura suddenly erupted, transforming into a huge bird with a wingspan of 1,000 meters that seemed to have materialized. It spread its wings and let out a long cry. Hoo! A huge sound wave that was like a real eagle's cry swept across the sky and stirred up the sea breeze. A terrifying pressure instantly loomed over the area within a radius of 1,000 meters around Giant Shark Island. Everyone watching felt their hearts palpitate. A killing move. Su Jingxing remained unmoved. The palm strike earlier was just a test. This was the real beginning. Bang! Bang! The huge bird condensed from a terrifying aura was like an eagle king. It flapped its wings and roared into the sky. Hoo! Hoo! Strong winds howled and swept through the world. Su Jingxing didn't move. He only raised his hand high. Then, everyone saw a patch of light. It was a light that drowned everything. The snow-white light blocked everything, blinding everyone's vision. Whoosh! A pale white light drowned everything. In an instant, just an instant. This light transformed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, 40, countless patches. Dense light covered the ground gently like a soft mountain breeze and rain. It descended from the sky and enveloped the entire Eagle King. Amidst a large expanse of light. Then, the violent aura suddenly disappeared. Su Jingxing's aura instantly changed from steely and unbending, to gentle and soft. In midair, the light that filled the sky slowly fell like countless raindrops, soaking every inch of space within its range, drenching the forest hundreds of meters from the sky to the ground. Whoosh! The sea breeze was still blowing, and the rain was falling. Under the snow-white Tiangang suppression palm, the attacks were silent. Then, all the light suddenly disappeared. However, Su Jingxing did not stop. Like a weightless feather, he floated hundreds of meters away and looked at Xiang Qingtian from afar. As for the huge bird, the eagle king that was condensed from a terrifying aura, it disappeared into thin air without stopping for a moment. It was as if a brush had brushed past and erased all traces of it. This scene fell into the eyes of everyone around the giant shark island. Most of them were stunned and silent. At this moment, the entire world fell into a strange silence. Martial Sage Xiang, please take one move from me as well. In the silence, Su Jingxing unlocked the 4 soul-splitting cards hidden in his left hand and released the first shot of spirit annihilation. The terrifying power was instantly mobilized. It was as if the divine weapon that had been sealed for countless years was slowly spitting out. Rip. The air was slashed. Buzz. The air trembled, and the light circling his left hand suddenly left his palm and flew out at lightning speed. Swish. The light tore through the air. A faint silver glow sliced through the air in an instant, as if it had ripped through the void or passed through countless spaces. The speed was extremely fast. Almost at the instant the light flashed, Xiang Qingtian instinctively swiped his right hand across his waist and took out a blood-colored sword. Then, he poured large amounts of true essence into it. As the blood-colored sword flashed crazily, it let out a hissing sound like a venomous snake. Rip. Sword energy tore through the air, stirring up the airflow. With the support of surging true essence, the sword energy released by the blood-colored sword instantly formed a huge, airtight sword net. The light that Su Jingxing shot out and the sword net that Xiang Qingtian pulled up, 2 different forms of attacks with mights that had a world of difference ruthlessly intersected. Chi. 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 Pa. 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 A strange sound, accompanied by a muffled sound, suddenly erupted. It was as if countless huge pieces of rock had fallen from high above and broken the ice. The dense and seemingly indestructible sword net released by Xiang Qingtian only lasted for half a breath before it was instantly shattered by the light. Then, without any obstruction, the bright light shot forward like a bolt of lightning, slicing through the air and passing through Xiang Qingtian, who was retreating rapidly. Chi. A glow flashed. Xiang Qingtian stopped in midair. Shock and anger remained on his face, and his eyes were filled with shock. He remained motionless in midair. Until... whoosh! A glow suddenly appeared in the air. Like a cloud of smoke, Xiang Qingtian bloomed and slowly dissipated. The entire martial sage body turned into specks of light and disappeared. The sky and ground were terrifyingly silent. Everyone around the giant shark island was stunned speechless when they saw this scene. Xiang Qingtian is dead. Nu Chu's martial sage died just like that. Killed by the U-Nation's martial sage in one move, and not even his corpse was left behind. Wasn't it said that the U-Nation's martial sage had just advanced and was weaker than Nu Chu's martial sage? Why was it that when the two of them fought, it was Nu Chu's martial sage Chu who was defeated and even left without a corpse? Shock. Confusion. Unconceivable. Unbelievable. At this moment, the minds of the people who had personally witnessed the death of Nu Chu's martial sage were buzzing. They could not calm down for a long time. Moss Master, is the U-Nation's martial sage that powerful? On the battleship, the girl came back to her senses and stuttered. He's indeed very strong. The beautiful woman's eyes lit up as she stared at the purple battle armor above the giant shark island with a solemn expression. The move he just used was not the power of an ordinary martial sage. What do you mean? The girl was confused. The martial sage of the U-Nation used other powers. As a martial sage, how could the beautiful woman not be able to tell how terrifying spirit annihilation was? Such might could not be produced by soul power. Treasures. A powerful treasure left behind by the Nation's old martial sage. The eyes of the beautiful woman flashed. Then Master. Can you defeat him? The girl blinked and asked curiously. The beautiful woman was speechless. Grand. Grandpa, Nanu Chu's martial sage Chu is dead. On the island, the long-haired old man's voice trembled as he said in shock, he's dead. An ND he has no remains left. I saw. The old man floating in the air replied expressionlessly, the Nation's old martial sage left behind quite a few good things, huh? What do you mean? The long-haired old man was confused. The old man ignored him. His eyes flickered with a strange light as he stared at the purple figure above the giant shark island. And this battle armor, it's probably not simple either. The old man muttered inwardly. On the clouds. The group of martial artists in the top ranks with long swords on their backs looked at one another. It's over. Someone asked in disbelief. It's over. The person who responded was hoarse. Too fast, too strong. Didn't they say that a battle between martial sages would last for days and nights? Why was the outcome decided in a few moves? Is Nu Chu's martial sage too weak, or is the Nation's martial sage too strong? Senior brother, if Master were to come and fight them, who would win? Needless to say, it must be Master. Yes, it must be Master. But, would Master be able to take that move from the Nation's martial sage? The battle ended too quickly, and the outcome was too shocking. When the crowd around the giant shark island came back to their senses, the entire sea was in an uproar. When the news reached land, an even louder commotion resounded along the coastline of the Nation. We won, we won. Our martial sage won. Ha ha ha, invincible Nation, invincible martial sage. What did I say? What did I say? We will definitely win. Now, do you see? Ours martial sage only used 3 moves to defeat, no, only 3 moves to kill Nu Chu's martial sage. And he was even left without a corpse. Nu Chu's martial sage was ambitious. He would never have thought that he would die so quickly. All I want to know now is, now that Nu Chu's martial sage is gone, can we take this opportunity to attack Nu Chu and annex them? That's a good suggestion. Nu Chu has always wanted to annex us. Now that their kingdom-defending martial sage is gone, we can take the opportunity to annex them. That's not appropriate, is it? The cabinet won't agree either, right? It's fine to give it a try. It's just a request. If too many people apply, the cabinet might really agree to send troops across the Golden Sparrow Basin to annex Nu Chu. Then what are we waiting for? Call and request for a war. I'll come too, I'll come too. Their morale was high and they were full of fighting spirit. Amidst the excited crowd's cheers, through various channels, they submitted letters to the cabinet requesting to send troops to the Nu Chu Nation. Nation's capital. Central Conference Hall. The cabinet members were also cheering and celebrating. Good, good, good. I didn't expect the new martial sage to be so powerful. He ended Nu Chu's martial sage's physical body right away. Good, this is wonderful. Ha ha ha. That's right. Initially, we only hoped not to lose too badly. Who would have thought that not only did we not lose, we even won. I can only say that the newly advanced martial sage is awesome. This is such a great job. I'm so happy. The cabinet members were overjoyed and laughed heartily. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Come in, replied the deputy prime minister who was sitting closest to the door. The door opened, and a uniformed martial artist strode in and whispered into the deputy prime minister's ear. After the martial artist left, the deputy prime minister didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Everyone, guess what happened? Old Luo, don't keep us in suspense. Hurry up and tell us what happened, said an old man with thick eyebrows and big eyes irritably. Only you can. The deputy prime minister glared at him and smiled. The people below have received news that our citizens are spontaneously petitioning for us to send troops to attack New Chu. The conference room fell silent. The next second, everyone burst into laughter. Haha, sure. We didn't even need to say anything and our citizens are already eager to attack New Chu. The old man with thick eyebrows and big eyes beamed. This kill by the new martial sage has boosted the confidence of the nation. Unfortunately. The person who answered was full of emotion. What unfortunate? The people below might not know, but how could they not know? New Chu's martial sage Chu had indeed been killed, but what was killed was his physical body. Apart from the physical body, martial sages also had essence souls. The essence soul could exist independently for decades. The essence soul of New Chu's martial sage was still around. If they were to send troops to the New Chu now, they would still suffer a head-on blow and fall into a life-and-death battle. Unless the new martial sage helped. However, since ancient times, when the two countries were at war, martial sages rarely personally participated. This was because the void world could not do without the martial sage. It would be funny if a catastrophe were to happen in his own country after they'd just annexed an enemy nation. Therefore, sending troops to New Chu could only remain a thought for now. It wasn't time yet. Giant Shark Island. Wearing the Thunder Dragon bone armor, Su Jingxing sensed that Xiang Qingtian's physical body had completely dissipated in the world. He couldn't help but be shocked by the might of spirit annihilation. Too powerful. A single shot of spirit annihilation was actually so terrifying. Other than instinctively defending, Xiang Qingtian had no time to react in any other way before he was struck and dissipated. He was not crushed, cracked, or split into two. Instead, he directly turned into nothingness. Spirit annihilation, spirit annihilation. It wiped out Xiang Qingtian's entire body cleanly. No wonder this power could even kill an essence soul. Xiang Qingtian's loss was justified. Of course, this was because Xiang Qingtian didn't come as his essence soul. Although a martial sage's body had reached the peak in defense, strength, and speed, he could not use soul skills, nor could he fully control divine weapons and soul treasures. If Xiang Qingtian was in essence soul state, Su Jingxing's shot of spirit annihilation should still. Suddenly, Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. He put away the joy of extracting Xiang Qingtian's card and turned to look in the direction of the New Chu nation. Buzz. The air vibrated. A ball of light suddenly appeared in the sky in the direction of New Chu nation. This ball of light crossed the air at an incredible speed and pounced towards the giant Shark Island. I want you dead. A suppressed growl exploded like muffled thunder, echoing between the heaven and earth and in everyone's ears. A terrifying aura seemed to collapse the sky and shatter the void, causing huge waves to appear in the sea. Boom! Boom! Master, who is this? On the battleship, the girl's face turned pale as she trembled. New Chu's martial sage, the beautiful woman replied with a frown. Ha! The girl was stunned. New Chu's martial sage? Wasn't he already killed? The beautiful woman did not respond. She only frowned and looked at the approaching ball of light as disgust flashed through her eyes. With his physical body destroyed, the essence soul came to take revenge. New Chu's martial sage Chu, Xiang Qingtian, was nothing more than this. On the small island. I knew this fellow is a sore loser. The old man looked at the ball of light in the air and sneered. Grandpa, you know this person? Asked the long-haired old man in a low voice. You know him too, the old man replied coolly. You just saw him earlier. Huh? The long-haired old man was shocked. Then, a thought struck him and he said in disbelief, "Grandpa, are you saying that the person who shouted is New? New Chu's martial sage? He's not dead. Of course. At the top of the clouds. Spread out. A group of martial artists in the top ranks with long swords on their backs sensed the terrifying aura coming from behind them. Everyone immediately dispersed and quickly retreated to the sides. Boom! A terrifying whistling sound passed through them. An extremely oppressive and fearsome aura that was almost corporeal struck the group of people, causing them to tumble in the air uncontrollably. Two of them even fell into the sea. Who is it? Who is this? Why does it feel like New Chu's martial sage? Impossible. Wasn't New Chu's martial sage already killed by the U-Nation's martial sage? It's possible that he didn't die just now. Stunned, confused, and in disbelief, a group of people returned and gathered together. They looked at the ball of light that were rushing towards the giant shark island and started discussing. Giant Shark Island. Su Jingxing glanced at Xiang Qingtian's essence soul that was charging over and shook his head lightly. Flying into a rage out of humiliation. The invitation was from Xiang Qingtian. Xiang Qingtian was also the first to attack. Xiang Qingtian was also the one who started the attempt to suppress Su Jingxing and annex the U-Nation. In the end, he was inferior and now wanted to take revenge. He didn't even guard the void world anymore and directly sent his essence soul over. As a martial sage, Xiang Qingtian was a failure. Swish. 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 Energy suddenly swirled. Without any nonsense, Xiang Qingtian's essence soul directly used its soul skill to attack Su Jingxing from hundreds of meters away. Accompanied by wisps of light, a powerful force surrounded Xiang Qingtian's essence soul. Buzz! An incomparably sharp force was suddenly triggered and charged towards Su Jingxing. Boom! Su Jingxing activated the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand, and the snow-white imprint once again appeared in the air. The dazzling light turned into countless light ribbons one after another. Rip! It was as if a piece of cloth had been quickly torn apart by a pair of scissors, or as if a sharp rock had skipped past the calm surface of the water. The two forces tore through the air and collided fiercely. Bang! The air exploded. The glow emitted from the collision of the two energies illuminated the surroundings. Die! Xiang Qingtian growled. In the essence soul state, soul power circulated and even more was channeled. Humph! Su Jingxing executed the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand to its limits. He opened sword eyes and met the attack. He was not in a hurry to release the remaining 2 shots of spirit annihilation. He wanted to see what level his strength had reached. It would not be too late to release them after sensing danger. Su Jingxing still didn't know how strong the defense of the Thunder Dragon bone armor was. Boom! When they collided head-on, the shockwave produced was released, creating circles of ripples in the sky. The might that erupted was world-shaking. Worldly energy poured out wildly within a radius of thousands of meters around the two of them. Fierce astral winds, accompanied by torrential waves, swept through the world. As the endless airflow stirred, the air let out waves of suppressed moans, as if it would shatter like glass in the next moment. Bam! Pa! Boom! A dull thud spread in all directions. Everyone around the giant shark island was stunned by this scene. This was especially true for the middle and lower level martial artists. All of them watched without blinking, afraid that they would miss a single second of the exciting battle. Boom! 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 Loud bangs echoed through the air in succession. At a certain moment, Su Jingxing, who sensed danger, decisively released the second shot of spirit annihilation. Swish! A dazzling light streaked through the air again, penetrating countless spaces. Under Xiang Qingtian's furious gaze, it shot straight towards him. Xiang Qingtian wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Just like his physical body previously, he still couldn't dodge it in his essence soul state. What kind of move is this? What kind of move is this? Xiang Qingtian went berserk. He used all his trump cards and circulated his soul power as much as possible. Finally, a second before the light reached him, he turned his body to the side. Swish! The light brushed past him. Xiang Qingtian's body flew backward uncontrollably. In midair, his essence soul swayed and his shoulders melted into nothingness. The remnant power of the glow struck a mountain peak on the giant shark island with lightning speed under the shocking aura. Boom! There was an earth-shattering bang. The terrifying power caused the mountain to explode on the spot and turn into nothingness. For a time, gravel shot everywhere and dust flew. Rumbles reverberated through the air. Bang! 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 One deafening explosion was followed by another. The force of the penetration destroyed the mountain peak, turning a large area of spatial airflow into a quagmire. Within the range of the shockwave, the air was like a boiling pool, rolling endlessly. PLKCH. 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 Energy surged. Under the coverage of the shockwave, waves of surging air, like snakes and dragons, whistled through the air and swept through the entire giant shark island. Finally, under everyone's gaze, the entire giant shark island began to collapse. Boom! Boom! Piece by piece, the huge giant shark island split up and sank. Silence. The sky and ground around the giant shark island fell into dead silence. Until. Roar! Plus plus plus. A deafening snarl came from the hole that appeared after the giant shark island sank. The hole that was originally filled with seawater flowing back into it. At this moment, seawater moved in the opposite direction and splashed into the air. Water splashed everywhere, obscuring vision. An invisible but terrifying aura spread in all directions with the huge hole as the center with the blooming of the waves. Bang! 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 Loud bangs followed one after another, rising from the bottom of the sea like thunderclaps. The seawater within a radius of thousands of meters shook non-stop. Swish! Splash! Whoosh! Seawater boiled and the mist covered the sky. An evil, cold, and bloodthirsty aura gushed out madly from the deep hole left behind after the giant shark island sank. Demonic energy? No, the extraterrestrial devil insect, it's the extraterrestrial devil insect. Exclamations rose from the crowd. When the surface of the sea shook, the battleships and ships that were swaying with the waves immediately sped up and fled into the distance. The long-haired old man and old man on the small island also charged into the sky to observe the situation. The group of martial artists in the top ranks with long swords on their backs swiftly retreated. Carrying the girl, the beautiful woman flew into the sky and looked at the big hole where giant shark island disappeared into. Xiang Qingtian's essence soul that had escaped a calamity was semi-transparent. It glanced at the deep hole and left without saying anything. Su Jingxing did not give chase, nor did he make a move. Firstly, Xiang Qingtian was stronger in his essence soul state, and the soul skills he mastered were not weaker than his. Since he was able to dodge one shot of spirit annihilation, he could probably dodge another. Even though it was difficult to dodge and Xiang Qingtian's essence soul was still injured, the extent of the damage was limited. Su Jingxing wasn't confident that he could kill him after using up all shots of spirit annihilation. Since he couldn't kill Xiang Qingtian, there was no point in fighting him to the death. Even if he exhausted his soul power in the end and really killed Xiang Qingtian's essence soul, Su Jingxing wouldn't be able to swallow the huge new Chu nation. Su Jingxing was very willing to see the Yu nation annex new Chu nation. However, how could annexing a country be done in 3 to 5 days? Putting aside the hatred of a portion of the citizens of New Chu, just fusing the territories of the two countries in the Void World would take a lot of time. Without a martial sage guarding New Chu's Void World, the monsters in the Void World would definitely invade and cause disasters. What Su Jingxing wanted was not the destruction of a nation, with billions of casualties. Instead, he wanted the people of New Chu to trust him, derive their faith, and nurture the sage origin fruit. The sage origin fruit was what every martial sage wanted the most. The more citizens there were, the faster and the more sage origin fruits would be condensed. With countless citizens dead and injured, where would the sage origin fruit come from? Especially since Su Jingxing had yet to forge a new kingdom defending Jade Seal. At this time, even if they really annexed the New Chu nation, he would not be able to condense the sage origin fruit. Therefore, Xiang Qingtian could not die yet. Letting him leave and continue to guard New Chu nation's void world would be helping Su Jingxing. Secondly, Su Jingxing needed to deal with the frightening aura coming from the deep hole that appeared after the giant shark island sank. The huge commotion caused by the roars showed that the existence in the cave was definitely not simple. Extraterrestrial devil insect. Su Jingxing's essence soul was in the process of sensing. A huge tentacle with a diameter of tens of meters suddenly stretched out from the hole in the water and slapped the air, hitting the surface of the sea. Bam! Roar! The surface of the sea shook, and countless waves swept through the sky. Accompanied by a deafening roar, another huge tentacle stretched out from the hole. Immediately after, a monster head that was covered in black and white stripes and shaped like a ghost face emerged from the hole. Bang! 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 The huge tentacle struck the air and overturned the sea surface. The monster, which was 1,000 meters long, protruded inch by inch from the bottom of the sea and hovered above the surface. Without any unnecessary movements, just by lying on the surface of the sea, a large amount of seawater evaporated and turned into mist that blotted out the sky. However, the cold and evil aura could not be concealed no matter what, causing everyone on the sea to tremble. Ghost-faced devil insect. There's actually a ghost-faced devil insect under the giant shark island. In the sky, the long-haired old man's eyes shone brightly as he sucked in a breath of cold air. What are you afraid of? Unation's new martial sage in Unation, commented the old man indifferently. That's right, that's right. Fortunately, the martial sage of the Unation is here. The long-haired old man nodded subconsciously. He only realized what he had just said and smiled awkwardly. Of course, Grandpa is also here. The old man ignored him and looked through the layers of mist at the huge devil insect on the sea. It had the appearance of a spider, but its legs had turned into spider tentacles. 7 huge tentacles that were tens of meters thick and thousands of meters long. Coupled with its body that was like a huge mountain, just the terrifying aura it emitted could crush martial artists in the lower ranks to death. As the patterns on its body resembled a ghost face, this incomparably huge extraterrestrial devil insect was named the ghost-faced insect. Compared to the corpse-raising insect and the beast spirit insect, there weren't many ghost-faced insects. At the very least, so far, few had been exposed, and they were all moving independently. However, every ghost-faced insect was extremely huge. Take this one for example. Its body and tentacles were comparable to the sunken giant shark island. With such massive bodies, their physical attacks were naturally terrifying. Any ghost-faced insect could easily destroy a city. Without more than 10 third-grade martial artists working together, it was basically impossible to take one down. However, the true terror of the ghost-faced insect was not its size, but its mental attacks. The cold and evil aura was just the residual energy that leaked out of its mind. According to records, the ghost-faced demon insect could release terrifying mental attacks that could kill martial artists below the 3rd grade instantly. As for the range, it varied between 100 to 500 miles. The giant shark island was so close to the coastline. If the ghost-faced insect were to release a mental attack, there would definitely be countless casualties. Therefore, the moment he saw that it was the ghost-faced insect, Su Jingxing decisively descended on its head. Circulating the Tiangang demon suppression palm to its limits, he circulated most of his soul power and delivered a heavy blow at the newly emerged ghost-faced insect. Whoosh! A snow-white glow illuminated the world. The mist that filled the surface of the sea and covered the sky seemed to have dissipated for a time. The mist that overwhelmed the sky turned into nothingness with a huge pillar of light. The ghost-faced insect that had just arrived on the surface of the sea only had time to sense a terrifying danger descending from the sky before it was struck by the light. Boom! There was an earth-shattering bang. Endless seawater rose into the air, reaching 1,000 meters into the sky. A pale white light bloomed, swept across the sea, and spread in all directions. Apart from the beautiful woman and the old man, everyone else lost their vision at that moment. A huge wave rose, surrounding a tsunami that was hundreds of meters tall. At the center of the light, the massive body of the ghost-faced insect had shattered into pieces. All its tentacles shattered into pieces and covered the surface of the sea. Fortress insect corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Su Jingxing replied and extracted a card. Deep down, he was surprised by the true name of the ghost-faced insect. Ghost-faced devil insect was what Earth Star martial artists called it. The same went for the corpse-raising devil insect and the beast spirit devil insect. Their real names were unknown. However, Su Jingxing's cheat ability knew about them. It could only be said that his hacks were too amazing. And the fact that the ghost-faced devil insect's real name was Fortress Insect inevitably surprised Su Jingxing. Generally speaking, names are related to abilities. Could it be that this Fortress Insect's main ability is defense? Isn't the strongest power of the ghost-faced devil insect its mental attacks? As he pondered, Su Jingxing opened his palm space and took out 2 cards. He first looked at the equipment card from the Fortress Insect. Accumulating 7 equipment cards and unlocking them at the same time would give a starship. That's right, a battleship that possessed defensive and offensive capabilities and could shuttle through the vacuum of the universe. What the F***CK? How did the abilities of the Fortress Insect become related to a starship? Or is it that the Fortress Insect itself could fly in the universe? Su Jingxing recalled the records of the extraterrestrial devil insect. There were no records of which planet the extraterrestrial devil insect came from. It was only known that 84 years ago, the extraterrestrial devil insect suddenly appeared on Earth Star. The various types of devil insects began a slaughter on Earth Star. To this day, there were as many as 32 types of devil insects that had appeared. However, no one knew if these 32 types were all that existed. If those extraterrestrial devil insects had come to Earth Star by riding the Fortress Insect, would that explain how they crossed space and came to Earth Star? Su Jingxing's mind raced as he put away the card. He was in no hurry to unlock it. After reading the second card, the one he had extracted from Xiang Qingtian's physical body, his heartbeat sped up. A skill card. When Xiang Qingtian's physical body was killed, although it dissipated quickly, a card was still extracted from his corpse in an instant. It contained a soul skill called Emperor Chu's Jade Book. The Emperor Chu's Jade Book was an ultimate technique that had been passed down in the Xiang family for thousands of years. In the old Chu nation that came before the new Chu nation, this soul skill was already being cultivated by the Xiang family's ancestors. The Emperor Chu's Jade Book was very special. It did not cultivate true energy, physical body, or soul power. Instead, it cultivated dynasty fate. To put it simply, the stronger a country was, the stronger the power one would wield after cultivating the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. The cultivation process was extremely harsh, and most people did not meet the requirements. Only one person could. The Emperor. The Emperor of an ancient dynasty. The ruler of the world whose every word carried great weight. This was a special ultimate technique that only the Emperor could cultivate. In modern times, it was almost impossible to successfully cultivate it. Even in the new Chu nation, where the imperial Xiong family held great power, they could not wield absolute power like in ancient times, where the words of their patriarch was the law. Anyone who he wanted to die had to die. The new Chu nation was domineering and powerful. The Xiong family held the majority share, but there were still 3 major martial arts families under them. If the 3 families joined forces, the Xiong family would still have to compromise. The reason why the Xiong family could hold most of the power was because they had offered benefits to share with the 3 families. Martial arts reigned supreme on Earth Star. Power was not the only thing. Strength was the foundation. As a result, it was extremely difficult for the Xiong family to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. Su Jingxing estimated that even Xiong Qingtian might not have succeeded. Otherwise, Xiong Qingtian wouldn't have escaped so quickly in the previous battle. The might of spirit annihilation was indeed terrifying, but if Xiong Qingtian were to mobilize New Chu's luck to fight. Su Jingxing shook his head, feeling lucky. The Emperor Chu's Jade Book was complete. This was the first time Su Jingxing had seen a complete ultimate technique. However, cultivating it was too difficult. In ancient times, it was easy, one could cultivate it as long as one became an emperor. In modern times, no one had the right to become an emperor. Even the prime minister or president did not meet the requirements. However, I think I can. Su Jingxing narrowed his eyes and thought quickly. The Emperor Chu's Jade Book cultivated the fortune and fate of the dynasty, or national fate for short. The cultivation process was very complicated, but he could use the martial arts practice card to help him. This should save me the trouble, right? Su Jingxing wasn't sure if the martial arts practice card could cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. He couldn't make an attempt now. Apart from mobilizing the fate of the nation, one also had to find a special place to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. The same went for the forging of the kingdom-defending Jade Seal. It could only be done in a specific location. Although the fortress insect was dead, no one could guarantee that there were no other extraterrestrial devil insects in the hole left behind after the sinking of the giant shark island. And this place was so close to the U-Nation. No matter what, Su Jingxing had to go down and investigate. At this thought, Su Jingxing's essence soul stepped into the air and shuttled through the hazy mist to arrive above the huge hole. In the next moment, the essence soul wearing the Thunder Dragon bone armor quickly descended to enter the hole. Master, what is he doing there? In the sky, the young girl leaned against the beautiful woman and tried her best to widen her eyes. Through the mist, she watched Su Jingxing's movements and asked curiously. In case there are more extraterrestrial devil insects inside. The beautiful woman's eyes flashed. Let's go in and take a look too. Huh? The girl was stunned. Without waiting for her reaction, the beautiful woman picked up the girl and rushed towards the hole. Ah! The girl's scream reverberated through the air. Grandpa, they've gone into the cave. Should we go too? On the other side, the long-haired old man watched the 3 people and asked the old man. The old man pondered for a moment before nodding. We do have to go take a look. Without waiting for the long-haired old man to finish his sentence, he flew straight to the top of the hole and descended. Hey, Grandpa, wait for me. The long-haired old man quickly followed. Whoosh! 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 5 figures entered the large hole where the seawater was flowing in. The ghost-faced insect's massive body was blown up by Su Jingxing and turned into dregs that floated on the surface of the sea. On the original ruins of the giant shark island, a deep cave led downwards. Su Jingxing did some calculations. He had gone more than 3,000 meters deep before reaching the bottom. Ordinary martial artists could not reach this area. In his essence soul state, Su Jingxing was naturally fine. The first thing he saw when he came down was a huge cave. The end of the cave was not far. Su Jingxing's essence soul quickly scanned its surroundings. Seeing that there was nothing else, it immediately flew towards the exit. It arrived in an instant and passed through the hole. Before it was the murky seabed. Outside the cave was the bottom of the sea. Miraculously, the seawater was blocked by an invisible force and did not enter the cave. Of course, now that a large amount of seawater was pouring down from the surface, it wouldn't be long before the cave was filled with seawater. No one knew what the fortress insect was doing through this cave. Su Jingxing's essence soul scanned the bottom of the sea with its special vision. Its pupils suddenly constricted and its eyes were filled with shock. In its vision, more than 1,000 meters ahead on the right, on a concave seabed platform, there were actually dozens of insect eggs piled up densely. These are all laid by the fortress insect. Su Jingxing was surprised. No, according to the records, the fortress insect doesn't seem to have the ability to produce eggs. Of course, it's also possible that the information is missing. The fortress insect itself can lay eggs, only no one has discovered it. Just like how the Earth Star martial artists named the fortress insect the ghost-faced demon insect. Earth Star did not know much about the true information of the fortress insect. This batch of eggs could belong to the fortress insect or other insects. Regardless, they had to die. At this thought, Su Jingxing activated sword eyes. Swoosh! Whoosh! Two sword-shaped beams of light shot out from the eyes on the mask and struck the eggs more than 1,000 meters away. Bang! 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 The spherical eggs that were more than a meter in diameter and 3 to 4 meters in height exploded on the spot, splattering juice everywhere. Soul-devouring insect egg corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Bang! 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 Card plus 10. Cards plus 30. With a series of explosions, dozens of eggs were blown up and turned into mud. Su Jingxing extracted dozens of cards. Soul-devouring insect. These eggs were actually the eggs of a species called the soul-devouring insect. Su Jingxing thought back for a moment. Among the known types of extraterrestrial devil insects, there was none called the soul-devouring insect. As expected, there were still many unknown types of extraterrestrial devil insect. He wondered what abilities this soul-devouring insect had. From the name, it didn't look good. Soul-devouring, soul-devouring. Devouring souls. Pondering for a moment, Su Jingxing opened his palm space and took out the cards to read the information. Mystic Soul card. The soul-devouring insect eggs were dead and a new card was extracted. According to the information, unlocking 10 Mystic Soul cards at the same time would give 1 Heaven Essence pill. The effect of this Heaven Essence pill was more than 10 times better than the Spirit Accumulation pill. Previously, when Su Jingxing's Essence Soul was injured, he unlocked dozens of Requiem cards and obtained more than 100 Spirit Accumulation pills. He had to swallow them all to repair the injuries on the Essence Soul body. However, with Heaven Essence pills, 3 to 5 of them would do. The effect of the Heaven Essence pill was equivalent to that of the Sage Origin fruit. It could nurture soul power and strengthen the Essence Soul. As for the fact that 10 Mystic Soul cards only gave 1 Heavenly Essence pill, it was probably related to the soul-devouring insect eggs. If it had been the corpse of a soul-devouring insect, he would be able to extract a Heaven Essence pill from it. Now that the quality was insufficient, it could only be made up for with quantity. Su Jingxing did a count. There were a total of 53 Mystic Soul cards. 10 cards equated to 1 Heaven Essence pill. If he could get 5 Heaven Essence pills, that would be pretty good. With this in mind, Su Jingxing suppressed his excitement and temporarily put away the cards. The Essence Soul wearing the Thunder Dragon bone armor continued to scan the bottom of the sea, hoping to find other good things. He looked around but did not find anything else. Instead, he heard movement behind him. Su Jingxing turned around and looked at the hole. A beautiful woman, a young girl, and 2 old men. All 4 of them had a light membrane around their bodies. Su Jingxing quickly scanned one of the old men and the beautiful woman and remembered that he had seen them in the air above the sea. At this close distance, he realized that their bodies were extremely special. It was the kind of physique where everything was fused and not a trace of aura was leaked. Their life fluctuations were different from ordinary people. The same as Xiang Qingtian's physical body that Su Jingxing had killed. So, the old man and the beautiful woman were also martial sages. These were their physical bodies. Nation's martial sage. The beautiful woman was the first to greet him. Martial sage of the Jing nation, Gong Juanlian. This is my disciple, Miao Ruoxiang. Xiang, greet the senior. Hello, senior. The young girl bowed to Su Jingxing curiously and respectfully. We're from the Guang nation. This is my grandfather, and also our martial sage, Wei Qingzhang. My name is Wei Yusheng. The long-haired old man quickly introduced. Humph. The old man glared at Wei Yusheng unhappily. The latter shrank his neck and did not dare to speak again. He could only smile awkwardly at Su Jingxing. Nation, Kong Xian. Su Jingxing used another alias. Gong Juanlian and Wei Qingzhang might not be using their real names either. The reason why they introduced themselves was because the Nation, the Jing nation, and the Guang nation had diplomatic ties, they were allies. If they were martial sages of other countries, the atmosphere would not be so harmonious. The Jing nation was located south of the Nation. The 2 nations were adjoining in terms of geographical location, and their relationship was even better. After Su Jingxing responded, Gong Juanlian and Wei Qingzhang didn't probe further. Whether the name was real or fake didn't really matter. So your brother Kong. Although she was a female martial sage, Gong Juanlian's aura was not inferior at all. Congratulations on defeating Xiang Qingtian, brother Kong. The old Xiang family is doomed this time. Gong Juanlian gloated manfully. If brother Kong is willing, how about we divide up the old Xiang family? Wei Qingzhang was even more direct. He chuckled and said, Xiang Qingtian doesn't have many years left to live. How about we join forces to kill him before he goes crazy? Miao Ruoxiang was speechless. Wei Yusheng was speechless. Do you have to be so direct? Those who didn't know you're martial sages would think that you're bandits. Wei Yusheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Su Jingxing also held back his laughter and replied, a good suggestion, but there's no need for that for now. Xiang Qingtian can't die yet. Wei Qingzhang and Gong Juanlian both knew the reason for that. However, no one mentioned it, and Gong Juanlian changed the topic. Brother Kong, what's that over there? She pointed at the remains of the soul-devouring insect eggs and asked. Insect eggs, Su Jingxing replied. I don't know if they belong to the ghost-faced insect, but I've already wiped out all of them. Since they're insect eggs, they should indeed be destroyed. Gong Juanlian nodded. Other than the insect eggs, is there anything else? Wei Qingzhang stepped away and looked around. No, Su Jingxing pondered and said, this place doesn't seem like a nest, nor does it have the ability to develop into a nest. Insect nest. The nest of the extraterrestrial devil insects. This was the reason why Gong Juanlian and Wei Qingzhang had come down to the cave. Giant Shark Island was too close to land. If there was a nest here, it would be a terrifying bomb that could explode at any time. It had to be eliminated in advance. Su Jingxing also came down to check mainly to eliminate this possible hidden danger. However, after a round of inspection, he found nothing but a pile of soul-devouring insect eggs. Now that the soul-devouring insect eggs had been destroyed, Su Jingxing subconsciously chose to hide the matter. Otherwise, there was no way to explain how he knew that these eggs belonged to the soul-devouring insect. The soul-devouring insect had never appeared before. What right did Su Jingxing have to name it soul-devouring? This was just a bunch of insect eggs. Their abilities hadn't even been revealed yet. How could he tell that they were soul-devouring? Even if the two of them did not ask for details, what were the characteristics of the soul-devouring insects? What were their weaknesses? Since he knew that it was a soul-devouring insect, he should know the general ability of this insect, right? How troublesome. If Su Jingxing himself didn't know, how could he explain it? He might as well leave them as unknown insect eggs. Gong Juanlian and Wei Qingzhang didn't ask. They walked around and relaxed when they didn't find anything else. Great that it wasn't a nest. There were no other problems, not to mention that all the insect eggs had been destroyed. The 5 of them did not stay for long. Soon, they returned to the surface of the sea. They bade farewell to each other and returned to their respective countries. Su Jingxing's essence soul returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain in Qinghe City. He unlocked 50 mystic soul cards and obtained 5 heaven essence pills. The essence soul swallowed them one by one. Moments later, it successfully advanced to the 4th class of the void soul realm. The effects of the heaven essence pill were on the same level as the sage origin fruit. The origin of these soul-devouring insects was definitely extraordinary. Unfortunately, there were too few of them. In the 4th class of the void soul realm, the capabilities of Su Jingxing's essence soul had advanced further. After sensing for a while, the essence soul returned to the void world to keep guard while slowly experiencing its new realm. Su Jingxing's main body took out a martial arts practice card and prepared to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. Of course, before cultivating, he had to calculate the most suitable cultivation location using the 6 comets record. The blood doppelganger had returned. To forge the kingdom-defending Jade Seal, he also needed to deduce a suitable location. However, it would take at least a month and a half to forge the kingdom-defending Jade Seal. With such a long period of time, Su Jingxing decided to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book first to increase his strength. In the end, after a day and night of divination using the 6 comets records, he finally got a rough location. Green Cloud Mountain. The Green Cloud Mountain range beside Qinghe City. Among the 18 prefectures of the Unation, Green Cloud Mountain was actually the most suitable place to cultivate. Are you serious? Su Jingxing was a little suspicious. Chanyang Prefecture was not in the center of the Unation. The Fulong Prefecture, where the capital was located, was. In the Unation, Green Cloud Mountain was not one of the top 10 well-known mountains and rivers. Why was it the best place to cultivate? Su Jingxing refused to accept this and used the 6 comets records to divine again. In the end, the answer he got a day later was still the Green Cloud Mountain. This time, the location was even clearer. It was on the north side of the Green Cloud Mountain. It's really the Green Cloud Mountain? Su Jingxing pondered for a long time and decided to give it a try. However, before setting off, he circulated the 6 comets records and performed divination. This time, he was divining the best location to forge the kingdom-defending Jade Seal. Su Jingxing wanted to see if the best location was also on Green Cloud Mountain. And it turned out. Really? Su Jingxing, who had received the answer, narrowed his eyes. There's a problem, there's definitely a problem. There's either something wrong with Green Cloud Mountain or the 6 comets records. I'll know what went wrong after trying to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. With this in mind, Su Jingxing rushed to the north of the Green Cloud Mountain range overnight. He chose a mountain and unlocked a martial arts practice card to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. As usual, the martial arts practice card turned into a ball of light and wrapped around Su Jingxing's body. In the martial arts practice space, Su Jingxing began cultivating the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. This martial arts practice card only contained 1 year practice time. It was only used as a starting attempt. However, no matter how Su Jingxing worked, the Emperor Chu's Jade Book remained motionless. A year of practice time was exhausted, and the space shattered. Su Jingxing's consciousness returned, but he still did not touch the threshold of the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. This ultimate technique could not be executed. It was not because of Green Cloud Mountain, nor was it because of the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. There was nothing wrong with the 6 Comets Records divination. There was indeed something special about the northern side of Green Cloud Mountain. Su Jingxing couldn't put his finger on it. If he had to explain it, it was simply because it was easier to comprehend the world from the north of Green Cloud Mountain. Su Jingxing carefully thought about the failure of using the martial arts practice on Emperor Chu's Jade Book twice and realized that the reason was because of the nation's fate. It was not that there was a problem with the fate of the U nation, but that Su Jingxing had failed to grasp the thread that connected to the fate of the nation. To cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book, the first requirement was to sense the thread that connected the fate of the nation and hold it in one's hand. On the north side of Green Cloud Mountain, Su Jingxing sensed this thread, but he couldn't touch it, let alone grab it and hold it in his hand. Without the thread, it was naturally impossible to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. For a moment, Su Jingxing was a little mad. Before that, he wanted a martial arts practice card but couldn't extract one. Now, he had dozens of martial arts practice cards and even obtained a magical ultimate skill like Emperor Chu's Jade Book. However, he was unable to cultivate it. This feeling was simply torturous. F***ck. Su Jingxing naturally wouldn't give up after one failure. When he calmed down, he started cultivating the Emperor Chu's Jade Book again. This time, he did not unlock the martial arts practice card. He had to catch the thread first. When he had the thread in his hand, it wouldn't be too late to cultivate it through the martial arts practice card. Therefore, the blood doppelganger returned to the crematorium in Changyang Prefecture City. Su Jingxing's main body remained on Green Cloud Mountain and stayed on a mountain peak in the north. He began to repeatedly catch the thread. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Time flew by. Dashun Prefecture. In the vast mountains. A man and a woman darted through the woods. The man was fine, but his white hair was a little messy and there were a few holes in his clothes. However, the woman's face was pale, without a trace of blood. Her breathing was faintly discernible. The strange thing was that wherever she passed, a strange fragrance floated in the air. Some herbivores smelled it from afar and even walked over to sniff it carefully. No, I can't continue. As they ran, the woman suddenly panted. Brother Chang, I can't go on anymore. Leave me alone. With my condition, no matter where we go, we won't be able to shake them off. Shut up. The man gritted his teeth and shouted, I've already said that I'll be wherever you are. What do you mean by leaving you alone? Am I, Lu Wuchang, a coward who's afraid of death in your eyes? You're not a coward. You're a playboy. The woman smiled weakly. No one will laugh at you if you leave me. Isn't it normal for a playboy to switch his women? I said shut up. Lu Wuchang shouted in a low voice, Su Yao. You know it, you're the first person I fell for. Only you kept ignoring me. I admit that I'm a playboy, but that's to distract myself from thinking and yearning for you every day. I was afraid I won't be able to hold back and do something rash to you. I was afraid you'll get hurt, and even more afraid that I'll regret it. Su Yao, believe it or not, you are the only person I, Lu Wuchang, have ever liked in my life. The man was Lu Wuchang from Cin Bank, a third-grade martial artist in his 30s with a terrifying intuition. However, before this, only a small portion of his hair had turned white. But today, his hair was completely white. He no longer hid it, or rather had no time to hide it. At this moment, Lu Wuchang was half carrying and half supporting the woman named Su Yao. His tired eyes were filled with determination. Trust me, Su Yao. As long as we reach Green Cloud Mountain, we will be saved. There's hope once we reach Green Cloud Mountain. Su Yao smiled bitterly. What's on Green Cloud Mountain that can save me? That place isn't a land of peril, nor is there any hidden expert there. How can it save me? I don't know how, but my intuition has never been wrong. Lu Wuchang growled in a low voice, besides, I've cultivated a heavenly secret art that has turned my hair white. The result of my divination is Green Cloud Mountain. I believe that we will be saved once we go there. At the mention of hair, Su Yao fell silent. Regret, sorrow, and helplessness flashed across her eyes, followed by happiness, joy, and love. Lu Wuchang did not see these complicated expressions. Su Yao took a deep breath and no longer doubted him. Everyone who knew Lu Wuchang was envious of his talent. Ever since he was young, he had never made a mistake. Since Lu Wuchang was so sure, it meant that Green Cloud Mountain could really save her. Green Cloud Mountain Range was a famous mountain after all. Although it wasn't ranked amongst the top 10, it was entirely possible for one or two peerless experts to be hiding there. As long as... Boom! Boom! Two loud bangs suddenly erupted. Invisible energy exploded in the air in front of Lu Wuchang and Su Yao. The ferocious force pushed Lu Wuchang back, and Su Yao was swept and thrown into the air. Ah! With a low roar, Lu Wuchang forcefully stopped his momentum. Then, with a tap of his toes, he charged in the opposite direction and hugged Su Yao, who was falling from midair. The two of them spun on the ground and knocked down a series of trees. Finally, they leaned against a stone wall to dissipate the force. TSK, young Master Lu is really infatuated. A sigh sounded. Everyone only knows that young Master Lu loves to hit on girls and is flirtatious. He falls for one and ditches the previous one. However, they don't know that young Master Lu is also a devoted person. For Miss Su, he would even give up his life. How amazing! I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Accompanied by this voice, a short and fat middle-aged man in a white chef's suit and a chef's hat stepped down from the air. When they landed on the ground, a young man and woman wearing chef's uniforms and hats walked over and they gathered together. The three of them slowly walked up to Lu Wuchang and Su Yao. Who exactly are you? Lu Wuchang exhaled and stared fixedly at the pudgy middle-aged man. He shouted in a low voice, why do you want to capture Su Yao? TSK, how can you say that? We're clearly extending an invitation to Miss Su Yao, okay? The pudgy middle-aged man shook his head. Miss Su Yao's talent is very important to us. For this, we're sincerely inviting her to come with us. Unfortunately, she was unwilling. She was unwilling, so you killed her entire family? Lu Wuchang sneered. If Su Yao hadn't escaped fast enough, would you have killed her too? Look at what you're saying, said the pudgy middle-aged man with a smile. I already said that Miss Su Yao is very important to us. Why would we kill her? Young Master Lu, you're thinking too much. We'll only treat Miss Su Shi as a distinguished guest. We can't wait to flatter her, so why would we kill her? Alright, let's cut to the chase. Since you both can't escape, you'd better come back with me obediently. As long as young Master Lu cooperates, nothing will happen. With that, the pudgy middle-aged man waved his hand and got two of his subordinates to support Su Yao. Lu Wuchang's eyes flashed and he suddenly attacked. Swish! Unexpectedly, the pudgy middle-aged man was even faster. His palm struck Lu Wuchang's dantian. Pooh! A mouthful of blood was spat out. Lu Wuchang's aura instantly weakened until it was about the same as an ordinary person. Lu Wuchang could no longer sense the true essence in his dantian. Or rather, his dantian had been sealed. The pudgy middle-aged man sealed Lu Wuchang's dantian with a single palm strike. As a result, once Lu Wuchang's martial art true intent surged, his head would feel a stabbing pain. A third-grade martial artist was actually subdued in one move. This made Lu Wuchang even more wary of the middle-aged man's background. "Are you alright, Brother Chang?" Su Yao turned around and hugged Lu Wuchang when she realized this, looking full of worries. I am fine." Lu Wuchang shook his head and did not say anything else. Only his eyes were filled with indignance. After crossing the mountain ahead, they would reach the territory of Changyang Prefecture. But right here, they were caught. The pudgy middle-aged man subdued him with a single move. Even Lu Wuchang, a third-grade martial artist, was no match for him, let alone Su Yao, a fourth-grade martial artist who was already injured. Instantly, their hearts sank to rock bottom. "TSK, you two are so in love. I'm so envious." The pudgy middle-aged man looked envious and waved his hand. "Young Master Lu, Miss Su Yao, don't worry. I promise I'll let you two go on your way together. Let's go now." The young man and woman stepped forward, grabbed one person each, and soared into the sky. Green Cloud Mountain. Su Jingxing stopped circulating the 6 comets records and gave up on sensing the thread connecting to the fate of the U-Nation. After a week, he finally gave up. After repeated attempts, Su Jingxing had to confirm that this thread could not be actively contacted. Fate was illusory to begin with, and the fate of the nation was all the more, incomparably profound. Martial artists in the top ranks could sense the world through their martial art true intent and could sense the trends of the dynasty. However, if they wanted to come into contact with luck, they would also be blind. Only those who cultivated heavenly secret arts could sense it. As for touching fate and gripping the nation's fate, that was also wishful thinking. The things involved here were too profound. What Su Jingxing could confirm was that the cultivation of Emperor Chu's Jade Book was probably passive. Passively coming into contact with the national trend of events and the thread of national fate. Simply put, it was the thread of national luck that would touch Su Jingxing, not the other way around. Between the two, Su Jingxing was second. He had to be prepared to let the thread of national fate touch him. Only when the prerequisites were prepared would the thread of national fate come knocking on his door. Then what was the prerequisite? Su Jingxing thought for 2 days and made a guess. This guess needed to be verified. It needed to be verified using detailed information. Where could he find such information? The Xiantian University Library. Hence, Su Jingxing's main body did not move. The essence soul guarding the void world left behind its divine weapon, the wandering dragon saber, and descended from the void world. It happened to be night. Su Jingxing's essence soul in the thunder dragon bone armor landed on the top level of Xiantian University Library in its illusory state. With no one able to see it, it used its semi-X-ray vision on the ancient manuals one by one. Under the essence soul's vision, the contents of the ancient manuals appeared clearly. Su Jingxing scanned through them quickly. One book after another, one row of bookshelf after another. After almost 2 hours, he finally found the information he wanted. The introduction of fate, the general trends of a dynasty, and conjectures of the relationship between a nation's fate and its citizens. That's right. The information he found was not 100% certain. There were only conjectures that were deduced through various theories and imagination. That was, ordinary citizens would not affect the fate of the nation. Slightly, if were tens of thousands of them, and only more tangible if there were millions of them. This was for ordinary citizens. If it was an official, things would be different. According to the records, all righteous officials in a dynasty would be enveloped by the fate of the nation. The higher the position, the greater the fate the nation they were shrouded in. As it was a passive envelopment, the transfer of positions would not affect anything. Only when there was someone in that position would the fate of the nation touch him. This was very compatible with the cultivation conditions of the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. Why was it that only the Emperor could cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book? It was because the Emperor was the most blessed by the nation's fate. In ancient times, every emperor's death would cause a commotion. The difference was that sometimes, the commotion would be smaller, and sometimes, it would be bigger. The biggest was with the change of dynasty. As the dynasty changed, the fate of the nation would naturally change. During this change, the martial sage did not have much to do with it. Not every martial sage came from the imperial family. As far as Su Jingxing knew, the Gong Juanlian, the martial sage of the Jing nation whom he had just met, had nothing to do with the Jing nation's imperial family. Su Jingxing and the Xia family were absolutely unrelated too. If this was the ancient times, if someone wanted to usurp the throne and change the emperor, as long as they convinced Su Jingxing, he wouldn't interfere. What he wanted was to ensure the safety of the citizens. If an emperor was muddle-headed and immoral, causing the people to suffer, no one would have to seize the throne. Su Jingxing would make the first move and kill the emperor. It was just an emperor. If this one was no good, I'll use another. As such, the change in the fate of the nation had little to do with the individual. Looking at the conditions to cultivate the emperor choose Jade Book, the emperor was merely the most suitable person. However, the officials below could also cultivate. That was Su Jingxing's guess. With the bold deduction from the information of his predecessors, Su Jingxing was even more confident in this guess. To see whether it could be realized and check on its legitimacy, he just had to become an official. There was no need for him to be a high-ranking official, but he had to be righteous and have close ties with the dynasty. Su Jingxing had the martial arts practice card. Once he became a minor official, as long as he could connect with the nation's fate, he would be able to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book. Therefore, he had to get himself a small position. His current position as vice captain of the security team was clearly a no-go. Deputy director would probably do. The crematorium was not important in ancient times, or even non-existent, but in today's world, no country could do without it. If he became the deputy director of the crematorium, he should be able to satisfy the cultivation conditions. He made a decision. Su Jingxing's essence soul returned to the void world and continued to guard it. At dawn, his main body returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain in Qinghe City. After washing up at home, he changed into clean clothes and went to the crematorium canteen for a meal. After that, he headed straight to Director Wu Shuhan's office. "Hey, little Su, what's the matter today?" Wu Shuhan surveyed Su Jingxing with a smile. Wu Shuhan was more or less concerned about Su Jingxing's long absence. It wasn't that he was afraid that Su Jingxing had escaped, but more that he had died outside. The fights between martial artists would never stop. "Please excuse me, Uncle Wu." Su Jingxing grinned. "I've been too busy cultivating to manage things at the crematorium." "It's fine." Wu Shuhan waved his hand. "Like I said, focus on yourself, so do that. Compared to your strength, the crematorium is not important. But, since you're here today, could it be?" "Yes, Uncle Wu. I succeeded. I broke through to the 7th grade." Su Jingxing said excitedly. "What?" Wu Shuhan suddenly stood up. His eyes widened as he looked at Su Jingxing in surprise and excitement. "Little Su, are you serious? You're really in the 7th grade now?" "Yes, I just broke through to the 7th grade. If you don't believe me, Uncle Wu, I'll show you." A 7th grade martial artist had 10,000 caddies of strength. He gathered his internal force and opened his dantian. Wu Shuhan could not sense the opening of his dantian, but his strength could be seen through the strength measuring device. Su Jingxing controlled his strength and punched the device twice. Swish! 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 The numbers on the dial of the device flashed quickly. When it finally stopped, the number measuring strength appeared. It was really above 10,000 caddies. "Ha ha ha." Wu Shuhan immediately laughed out loud. Good, great. Little Su, you're amazing. A 7th grade martial artist. A 7th grade martial artist actually came from a place like the crematorium. This was truly unbelievable. As someone from the crematorium, there was no need to mention the excitement and agitation in Wu Shuhan's heart. After a long while, Wu Shuhan exhaled and took deep breaths, barely calming himself down. Su Jingxing waited for him to regain his composure before saying, "Uncle Wu, I'm in the 7th grade now. Can I be promoted to be a deputy director?" Wu Shuhan looked confused. Su Jingxing was also a little embarrassed. This was indeed inappropriate. Who would request for a promotion right after a breakthrough? Though, there was nothing wrong with that, official positions were related to martial arts realms. It was not as clear in ancient times, but which of the big shots in the modern cabinet weren't in the top ranks? Without entering the 3rd grade, they could get assassinated very easily. But there was nothing he could do. In order to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book, Su Jingxing had shamelessly made his request. At most, he would resign once the test failed. Cough cough. Wu Shuhan coughed and came back to his senses. He sized up Su Jingxing strangely. Little Su, it's not that I'm not willing to promote you, but the crematorium doesn't have a deputy position. Huh? Su Jingxing was surprised. There isn't a deputy director position in the crematorium? No, Wu Shuhan shook his head. As you know, although the crematorium is very important and indispensable everywhere, this place has never been sought after, and few people will fight to come here. If not for the fact that they have no choice, who would be willing to deal with the dead? Although these words were not absolute, they were true. Su Jingxing nodded in understanding. Therefore, the director of the crematorium only had 2 assistants assigned to him at the beginning. After things slowly stabilized, the assistants were removed. As for the managers and captains below, they're not important. The director was the one to make arrangements, explained Wu Shuhan. Over the years, a mature system has been formed. I see. Su Jingxing sighed. However, little Su, if you'd like to be the director, I can give you my position. Seeing this, Wu Shuhan beamed with joy. I could have retired long ago, but I was bored at home, so I came back and continued taking on this position. No, there's really no need for that. Su Jingxing quickly declined. He wanted to be a deputy director, an insignificant official. It was to cultivate the Emperor Chu's Jade Book, not really for the crematorium. Not to mention snatching Wu Shuhan's position. Even though Wu Shuhan was more than willing for that to happen. Are you sure? Asked Wu Shuhan again. Yes. Su Jingxing was speechless. I just. He opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say, so he shut up. Uncle Wu, you're busy. I have something on, I'll take my leave first. With that, Su Jingxing turned around and left. Wait. Wu Shuhan called out from behind, little Su, wait. Although I don't know what problem you've encountered, if you want to get an official position, there's another position other than the director's position. It's very suitable for you. Really? Su Jingxing turned around and asked happily, what position?